Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the Ted Show. Excited to have this gentleman, very young gentleman, on the show today. James Burkhardt. We're going to talk about, it's all about the music. We're going to talk about SNT Radio, which that is scrolling across your screens there. Just excited to have him on the show. Welcome, James. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm glad to be here with you, Ted.
I'm excited to hear your journey. You know, that's what it's all about, is the journey. And then some people will obviously go, oh, I got questions now. So we'll get to all of that. But before we get into radio and why you chose It's All About the Music, let's learn a little bit about you. So give us some origin story.
Well, you know, a child of the 60s. I was born in the mid-50s. So when the Beatles hit, that was very shaping for me musically. My mother was the first one to notice I had any talent at all, because I could sing very well in the back of the church during Christmas time, because I knew all the Christmas carols. And I love Christmas time. So I'm getting into my favorite time of the year.
I love it too.
Yeah. So for a long time, all I ever wanted to do was become a member of the Vienna Boys Choir, because I had one of those really clear alto voices as a young man, and that lasted me well until eighth grade. And all of a sudden, I go from singing alto with all these beautiful girls to being a bass.
You went through puberty.
Something like that. But anyway, along the way, I started out on piano, switched to guitar and bass because I love bass. My dad was a big band enthusiast, so I grew up listening to those great rhythm sections, you know, and it just stuck with me. So, you know, music has always been a big part of my life from growing up.
Were your parents musical?
Not at all. In fact, my dad thought, because he quit clarinet, you know, because he couldn't play like Artie Shaw or Benny Goodman, you know, he gave up the clarinet. That meant that by the time I was, you know, 9, I was going to quit piano. So he refused to buy me a piano, even though I was 2 books ahead of everybody for my age group. And, you know, that kind of broke my heart, but I stuck with it, you know, taught myself basically how to play guitar through junior high, and, you know, played in some bands through high school, had a lot of fun. I was writing songs at 14. At 16, I was doing solo gigs in coffee houses and stuff. But
wow,
it was a lot of fun, because back then it seemed like there was some new music always coming out every week or every other week. Some new sound, some new instrumentation or whatever. So
you fell in love with music of all kinds.
Right.
And then, but you taught yourself how to play guitar, but you also listed some other things, like you're not just a one instrument show. You know how to play a lot.
Yeah. No. You know, guitar, bass, piano, singing. I've taught professionally for 10 years in Chicago while I was giving end-of-life care to my mother before she passed, even though I've been very entrepreneurial. But to back up the bus a little, when I graduated college, I had a double major and a double minor, or the equivalent thereof. Wow. Marketing and advertising was the major, and accounting and finance was the minor. So I'm very well prepared to run a business. But at the time, I was taught that getting some retail experience was really important if you're going to be successful in marketing and advertising. So right out of college, I got hired as a bookstore manager that was kind of ahead of its time. You know, Borders, books, music, whatever. Okay, well, we had books and music and nice set of custom jewelry and stuff in the bookstore. So I learned retail, and then with my advertising, I did all the marketing, the advertising for the other 4 stores in our chain, and that got me involved in radio.
Yeah, so radio, right?
Right.
Radio, it sounded like video killed the radio star, right? That's what I think of. But radio found a whole new life, which I want you to talk about. But you got in, did you get into it? And were you a radio jockey? Were you did you get into all of that, or was it all sales?
Well, actually, it was sales for about 10 months. I went from being an account executive for a big station in Los Angeles to being a general manager of a small 3,000 watt FM in the suburbs of Chicago. And then 2.5 years later, the broadcasting company promoted me to executive vice president, and all of a sudden I'm running 5 radio stations for them and flying around, on a milk run 10 days out of every month. So I had a lot of fun with working with concert promoters and learning live events, as well as the business of radio. And then from there, I went into my own entrepreneurial marketing company in 1987. All right. And I was 33, not even 33. I was 32 and a half. I look back since. I've been enticed back radio a couple of times as a talk show host in Orlando. Back in 07 and 08, I was on the
What did you do for
a
little bit of that broke up? Tell me, a little bit of that broke up. What did you do in Orlando from 07 to 08?
Yeah, I worked for WORL as a talk show host and a senior account executive. So, that was a political year. I got to interview Bill McCullum when he was running against Rick Scott for the governor nomination. Bill McCullum, as you remember, was the attorney general under Charlie Crist.
Yep.
So McCullum gave me a couple of nice exclusives, like when he opened up his cyber sting operation statewide to catch human traffickers and child porno, pedophiles, and all that kind of stuff. He did a press conference at City Hall, then came over to the studio and gave me the only exclusive interview in town. And then he went back on the campaign trail. So that was kind of fun.
Where did the idea for SNT Radio come up?
Well, SNT Radio came up at the tail end of my time at WORL. I very active in church and have been active in all forms of music, but especially contemporary Christian music, and have got involved in that in 1972 at the end of my high school years, at the peak of the Jesus movement. So I'm in church one day, and all of a sudden there's this voice in my head going, you really ought to go on the internet and create this station that puts together 4 decades of all the Christian music, because, from the 70s to 2007, 2008. So I didn't know much about the internet other than websites and stuff. Streaming was very new. So I found out, how to do it, how to automate an internet station so that I could actually be 2 places at once and not have to have an air staff. So virtually I've created a station that runs itself 24/7. And as a matter of fact, we're going to be doing our Christmas music starting Thursday at noon.
Nice.
Easter, and going all the way through midnight Christmas Day. So we always do, and the commercial free. It's just going to be wall-to-wall Christmas music for people to enjoy.
So do you have guests that come on? Do you have guests that come on? Do you do talk? Tell us a little bit about how the station is.
Well, it's 24/7 music. We run 58-minute on average music sets. People who listen to the internet don't like commercials. So I try to do things in such a way that it doesn't sound like a commercial. And Sundays have always been commercial free. And all we do is run praise and worship music on Sunday, just kind of an inspirational thing. And when I do interviews, we've interviewed, record producers, artists, authors, filmmakers, but I have a podcast page. And what we do is we record them off air and put them on the podcast page where anybody at any time can listen to them at their leisure. So it's not like, hey, you got to tune in at Friday at noon for blah, blah, blah. No, because people want to listen to the music. We designed this thing to be an encouragement for people to listen at work. When we came out of the box, the slogan was the cure for the common cubicle. Because
I love that.
Yeah, and basically people go to the website, get the music stream going, and then put it in the corner of their screen. They just.
So it's very technical. There's a big giant technical side to what you do. In order for you to set that all up and make sure it's timed properly, I think people don't understand how much precision has to go into getting everything synced right. Tell us a little bit about that process, because you mentioned 58 minutes of music. That doesn't mean, guys, that you just push a button and you have no thoughts and you hope for the best. There's planning involved.
Well, the beauty of this is that the broadcasting system we use, we have all of this flexibility to create our own custom software instructions. So I spent hours and hours tweaking the programming behind what happens so that it'll crossfade to the next song perfectly. Now, the other thing people need to know is that I've studied music production and music business at Berklee College of Music, and in addition to that, I have a master's degree from Full Sail University in digital.
Fantastic. Do you really know your stuff?
SEO, social media, all that stuff. And we put all of our experience together into SNT Radio, just so people have a great place to go to.
What does SNT stand for?
Spirit and Truth.
I didn't know that. See, that's why I do no research, because I was like, I wonder if that's the initials of someone. I know it's got to have a meaning. I love that.
Like call letters, but it's easy to remember because people who know the Bible. There's a passage in the book of John where it says God is looking for true worshipers who will worship Him in spirit and in truth.
Love it.
And back in the day, no one was saying that about their radio station. It was Love 96 or, Praise This or, Positive Hits or whatever. And it's like, I'm going to do this for the long haul because I know that there's another move of God that's going to dwarf what I went through in the 70s with the Jesus movement. And I set up this radio station for that time and place, and I think we're approaching it. Because it's all the signs are there. And if you read the book of Revelation, you kind of understand a little bit about what's going on. So
you have there's a longer range plan here.
That's correct. And
let me ask you, before we went live, I had a bunch of people, I'm assuming they're artists of some kind, Christian artists, ask if you take submissions if their station takes submissions for new music. How do you choose your music that gets played those 58 minutes out of the hour?
I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the things I do is I volunteer for an organization called Christian Songwriters and Musicians International. And they're all independent, unsigned artists from all around the world. They have 2 conventions a year. I speak at every one. And I also host their radio show, which is a podcast, and I interview artists and feature their new music on that show. But they're members of but the short answer is yes, send anything to sntradio@gmail.com. MP3s are fine. Links to your website, your social media, whatever. I'm always looking for new music. And I do have a new station concept that I'm developing that is specifically for independent, unsigned people, where we will pay them a better to play their music if we can. But 21. So by all means, send your submissions, the music to sntradio@gmail.com. Me and my team will take a good listen to it and
love it.
You know, we know what's good.
Right, so tell me how they can best reach you, because we have lots of people. I know the website sntradio.com is scrolling across the bottom. Is that the best way for people to reach out to check everything out, James?
Yeah, there's all sorts of contact forms they can send in, to reach the radio station. That's a good way. I'm also on LinkedIn, and SNT Radio has about 20 different pages on Facebook and groups. I tallied it up the other day. We've got discussion groups for decades, Christian music of the 80s, Christian music of the 90s. What we're calling the 2020s is Kingdom Age music, even though we've got that's more for the worship crowd, but we've also got a commercial one, Christian music of 2020 to 2029. Every decade we've got a group. We've got fans of Jesus music. We've got fans of SNT Radio. We've got a news site called SNT News Watch. We're actually in the process of putting together a whole network of websites and things where people can get news, they can get updates on what's happening in the church world. We've got a group called the Revival Report that has some national people in it, and when they share stuff, it's very impressive. Stuff I put up there is I'm a curator, more or less, and the coordinator.
I love that.
But I had some, people from Bethel out in Redding, California are part of this. A couple of important ministers that are located in and around Lakeland and Orlando are in it. So we've got some very qualitative Christian voices in that group.
I love that. I think the programming starts it, and then there's so much good that you all are trying to accomplish in our world and our community. All right, so James Burkhardt, sntradio.com or sntradio@gmail.com. You can reach him there.
Right.
Please reach out. We had lots and lots of comments before we went live about how they can reach you, how they can listen. You guys, it's all right there scrolling. That's the beginning. Go to sntradio.com. James is also all on social media, which I tagged him. I'll tag him again. I'm fascinated. Next time, I want you to come on and sing for us or play for us.
Oh, well, one of the things that I'm really into is helping orphans. And we've got a page that we just started called Praying for Orphans on Facebook. Go like it. And we've reached out to a budding artist in Uganda, because I have a particular interest in Uganda. And his name is K. Charles. He's recorded a song I wrote called A New Song, and we're going to be using it to raise funds to feed orphans worldwide.
Love it.
So, I'll be more than happy to come back on and play you Charles singing one of my songs.
Yes, and please when you share the show, put that link in, because I've already had people ask where they can get that as we're going through this, all the different comments. So Reach out to James, sntradio.com. James, you're a joy. I really hope you do come back on. That was awesome. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Okay. Well, happy Thanksgiving. Glad to be here.
See you guys later. Happy Thanksgiving. I think this is my last show before Thanksgiving, but if it is, I really do wish everybody, we love you guys so much. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you express that gratitude. You're going to do it anytime during the year. This is a great reminder for you to do it. All right, James, thanks so much, guys. We love you. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.